hela dagarna. Så att det är liksom okänt.
Har du tagit någon macka? Det finns vegetariska så finns
Vi är
det med.
lite försenade, 10 minuter typ. Hi and good morning, everyone, and welcome to one of the first streams here from our working lab in Umeå. We have these kind of breakfasts once a month, and hopefully we're able to stream more times. This morning, Mattias Wiking will share his knowledge about networking and the importance of networking when you visit and attend a conference. But before that, I will talk a little bit about myself and Arctic Game. My name is Andreas de Faria Valle, and I'm the project manager for Arctic Game in Umeå. And Arctic Game was founded in 2015. It's a collaboration between 4 municipalities, Umeå, Skellefteå, Luleå, and Boden. And each city has its own project manager. And we build and nurture the ecosystem for game developers in northern Sweden. What we do, that we build infrastructure. So we want to create the cornerstones for a thriving ecosystem. And just as any other industry, the games industry has also a need for infrastructure. In our case, it's educations for talent, it's workspace, just like a working lab here in Umeå, where we have an indie cluster with 10 studios, and creating events like conferences and even breakfast events like this. It's super important for knowledge sharing and for networking. And I try to have as many events as I possibly can in Umeå. And a lot of events that we host here is catered for anyone to visit. So you don't need to live in Umeå to attend them, but it helps as it's up north. So this weekend, together with the Department of Computing Science, Future Games, and a working lab, Arctic Game is hosting a game jam here on campus. And the game jam is intended for everyone that's interested in games, not only developers, but there will be movie makers, there will be students from the university, and even some high school students attending, as well as in the developers. And we can't do these events without support. So these are our partners and sponsors, Algorix in Umeå, Latitude 65, Elasticys, and our partners. And I always try to make events as I prefer them. I don't want to attend an event where I don't feel like there's value created. I want to feel a little bit smarter when I come from an event. So in order to do so, we have speaking sessions. We've invited Maria Masur, a senior quest designer from CD Projekt Red. A few of you might know that company, the Witcher team, the Cyberpunk 2077. And she will have two speaking sessions, one at the game jam itself and one in another breakfast event. We have Per Fransson and Daniel Olofsson from the Fine Art Care that will talk about their journey from a game jam to a publishing deal. And we also have Hanna Johansson, a technical animator at Cold River Games, who will talk about tips and tricks for animations. And she also had a history from Paradox as a technical animator. And hosting the game jam, we have Dimitra Papacosta from CRG, from Cold River Games as well. She's the marketing and community manager. And we have Harry Heath from Cold Sector, who's the design lead. So we have a really, really good setup, and I think a lot of you would benefit from visiting this. I've included 2 QR codes here. We will not stream the breakfast event on the 9th, so you need to physically attend. It's free to attend, but you need to register. The game jam itself is 100 SEK. But also the sponsor will cover breakfasts, both day, Algorix, and Latitude 65 provides beverages. So I think we will have a great event. So feel free to sign up and show up. And with that said, I would like to introduce my friend, Mattias Wiking, a games industry veteran, the studio manager at Paradox Arctic here in Umeå, and then he was the CEO of Turborilla, and now he's working and consulting with the games industry. And you are able to ask him questions, but please write them in the YouTube chat for those of you that watches the stream. Can you just yell out the questions after the presentation, and we'll try to accommodate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas. Nice to be here. I thought it would be like 3 sign-ups and 2 would drop out and not attend, but nice to see so many people here. So my name is Mattias. I've been doing games for quite some time. So I started actually in the end of '99. I joined the company. At that point, it was called Teknikhuset. but now it's called Oxio. It's here in Umeå. They were doing multimedia production, and I was fortunate enough to work on my first kids game called Myror I brallan, which in English would be very roughly translated into ants in the pants. And it was a kids show about nature. I then joined a company here in Umeå called Resolution Interactive. They sprung out of a company called Daydream. I had the chance to work on Clusterball, updating that game. I also worked on the sequel of Clusterball that unfortunately never got released. At this time, I was a programmer. On Myror I brallan, the multimedia game, I was doing game design, I was an artist, I was a programmer. And I think there were 7 or 8 of us in the team, and everyone was a programmer, artist, and a game designer. My journey, when I went down to Stockholm to a company called Grin, worked at Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 1, 2, and also Bionic Commando, and the remake on console. I was still a programmer. This was around 2004. 2007, end of 2007, I joined Starbreeze in Uppsala. And then my journey went away from being a programmer to be a producer. So I started to move into more production. And at Starbreeze, I was fortunate enough to work on the Riddick game, one of the Riddick games. I worked on the remake of Syndicate for consoles. And the last year at Starbreeze, 2010, I had the chance to move more and more from being in game production to start pitching games. So in 2010, Josef Fares, who now runs another studio called Hazelight, he came to Starbreeze, and me and Josef were pitching his first game called Brothers, which actually 505 signed. Unfortunately, I pitched the game, became a father, and moved back up north. After a few years here up in Umeå again, I started Paradox Interactive. Not Paradox Interactive, but I started Paradox Arctic that was part of Paradox Interactive. So that was a studio up here in Umeå. I have a couple of friends here that I work with at Paradox in Umeå. And we worked on War of Roses, War of Vikings. We also worked on Magica 2. We did the console port of Pillars of Eternity from PC to console. And around that time, I unfortunately left Paradox and then joined Turborilla, where I've been the last 6.5 years at Turborilla, working with mobile games. So all my first games has been PC and console. And now at Turborilla, I was part of releasing Mad Skip Motocross 3, a snowmobile game, and a rallycross game before I left roughly 1 month ago. And nowadays, I'm doing some small consultings. I'm a board member, I'm a speaker, I help with business development to some companies if they need, and I'm a mentor and coaching. So, as you can see, I probably need, well, change my name a little bit, I think. Wiking Development. It could be more catchy, I think, and I definitely need a logo. So, but if you want to reach out to me, you can see my email, and this is my LinkedIn. And we will talk about LinkedIn a little bit more later. So, why attend the game conference? There's a lot of discussions about everything you can do in a conference, you can do online. You don't need to go meet people physical to get the network, etc. That's partly true, but there's a couple of things that's very, very difficult when you are meeting people online. So, but attending a game conference, of course, you meet a lot of potential people and that you can find to collaborate with. Often, if you go for a conference, you're there to pitch your game. I'm going to mostly talk about if you're going for a conference for business to business. not if you're going for a conference to only attend talks. There's a huge difference. If you're going there only for your personal development, or if you're going there for like doing business. So my focus in the talk will be more for the business. But of course, you can go there just to have a good time, learn a lot of things, and make friends. Fundings and support to release your game. Discover industry trends. Of course, you can read about it on the internet, but usually things are presented at the conferences. You get inspired by talking with others, and you shouldn't underestimate this one. By meeting other game developers that had difficulties or successes that you can learn from. It's very, very important. It helps you being visible. If I can't see you, you don't exist. If you're looking for funding, but no publisher or no investor knows you exist, it's going to be difficult. If you always have to hunt them. If they know who you are, and you are at an event, it's easy to just talk with them. They might even approach you. That happened to me several times. I even have investors coming to me and asking me, hey Mattias, you know people in the industry, do you know any games that needs investment? That comes from me being at events, getting to know the investors, not sitting only by my desk. Of course, unexpected opportunities, bumping into people you would never just bump in on internet. You're not going to have a random, like a Google Meet with someone, but you will find a lot of random meetings at the conference. And build real relationships. I have a lot of friends that are nowadays called friends, that I've started meeting at the conference, and now they're good friends to me. So, I use the word most here, because most of the conference I've been to have sort of a structure. And it's pretty straightforward. In the morning, the first couple of hours in the morning is your free time. You can eat breakfast. People like to run. There's a lot of running groups in the games industry. So in the morning, they go out running. And catch up with your team. Either if you are traveling, you can have a call with your team in the morning. Or if there's several from you traveling to a conference, it's a good idea to have a breakfast with your team. Then, 9 to 5 roughly, is the real conference. That's usually scheduled. This I just took to show a picture from a schedule. It's talks, it's masterclasses, it's the expo maybe. It's open, the people showing the things on the expo floor. You have meetings, there's pitch sessions, etc. This is usually scheduled things that the conference had scheduled. Now, maybe the more interesting things. I'm not going to say it's more important, but it's really good to know this. After the conference, it's like when the second conference starts. That's the personal networking. Usually between 5 and 7 is smaller mixers and meetups. Usually you need an invitation for them. It could be NVIDIA having a small drink mixer between 5 and 7. And if you have a friend at NVIDIA, you will be able to come there. After the mixers, you go for a dinner. Dinner with a friend, dinner with a partner, dinner with the investor that you have been pitching for during the day, and you meet them again for a dinner. And after 9, it's usually big parties. And they are often pretty late. And a lot of people know me. People in here know me. You know that I kind of tend to like to go to parties. But this tip is probably the most important thing. Nothing important happens after midnight. Don't go to parties and stay out at 3. Have your first breakfast meeting at 8. That's just wasting your time being at the conference. Find a good time to go home. Yeah. So, but before, everything starts before, even before you go for the conference. And it usually starts 2 to 3 weeks at least. And it's about building a smart schedule. And this is where I talk about, this is more business to business oriented than going for talks. So make sure you know why you go for the conference. You don't sign up to go for an event, pay a lot of money to go there, travels, hotels, and everything, and then you don't really know why. Going there for fun isn't really a good reason, to be honest. You should know why you go there. And then you make sure you book meetings, and you kind of research what kind of other events is it, what mixers will it be. Usually, I said these mixers are invite only, but they are often very open, so you can find this, the invitations and sign up. Similar to the sign up for today's breakfast. You needed to sign up to be here, but it was easy to find it. That's usually how those events are. Leave room for random encounters, as I said. Don't fill your schedule like this. Make sure there's some space and room between your meetings. And add buffer time between meetings, especially if they are on different places. So if you have one meeting 9 o'clock at one place, and you need to go to another hotel maybe at 9:30, that's not a good thing. Make sure if you have a 9 a.m. meeting, you then leave 9:30, and you have half an hour before the next meeting. Mix super important meetings with some more casual meetings. You cannot fill your full day with 10 to 12 meetings where you need to be 150% focused, pitching. You need to mix that with like a coffee with a friend, a catch up with someone you only met online but you're both on the event, etc. So you have a mix of these kind of events, else you will be drained. Choose one anchor event. I usually try to figure out like where's my most important events, which meeting is the most important. And then I try to put my most important events around lunch. And then further down the afternoon, I'm not going to say they become less important, but I kind of prioritize them on how much focus do they need, how much energy do they need. Because 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you will be out of energy. Don't have your most important pitch for someone 5 o'clock, especially if it's the last day of the event. 3 days event, 5 o'clock last day, the most important pitch. It should be on the first day around lunch. You also don't want to have it 9 o'clock in the morning because you kind of want to just get in there, get the feel for everything, and kind of slowly start the day, so to speak. Say no when needed. You will probably be approached by a lot of other people. Remember your goal. Even if it's super fun that someone asks you for a meeting, you'll be flattered. Someone from Epic asks you about something like Epic, they're cool, but they're not on your target list because you have another goal. If you don't have time, say no. And this one, if you're in a team, it's really good to sync your calendars so you know who is going for which meeting. But don't double up on the meetings unless it's super important. Try to split. If you're going 2 people for an event and all of you are on the same meeting all the time, it's kind of waste of money, to be honest, that there's more than one going there. Because if you're going for the same event, unless it's super important, you're wasting. Split up. The same is for evenings and networking. Don't hang around in a group and do everything together. Split up. And this one, say yes to all the mixers and etc. if you get a lot of invitation. Because it's when it's time to potentially attend the mixer, that's when you decide if you want to go there or not. It's easy to say no. Then you are on the afternoon. You end up on a dinner with an investor. This investor and you are like really going good along. And the investor says like, so I'm going to go for this mixer. You want to tag along? And then you realize like, no, I declined that invite because I didn't want to go there. Say yes to everything. Meeting systems. Most of the conferences have some sort of meeting system, and Meet to Match is one system. These things it works for all the systems, the things I'm going to say. And they're really, really good. A lot of the attendees on a conference that's there for business to business will be in the meetings. So they're usually searchable. You can even say, like, look for publishers, and then you get the list of 300 publishers. Maybe not 300, depends on the conference, but 100 publishers. And then you can see this publisher publish platform games. That's what I'm doing. You click on this publisher, you will see a meeting calendar where there will be slots free. And you can pick a slot and say, hey, publisher, I work on this kind of game. Could you have a chat with me? And then the publisher will say yes or no. The same will be for you. People will invite you for meeting, and you can say yes or no. So sign up really, really early. As soon as you get access to this, sign up so you're there. Go in there pretty often and see what other people that's in there. And yes, you need to have a profile picture. You cannot be anonymous because it's hard to make business with anonymous people. When you send an invite to someone, make sure it's a custom message. Don't write one message, cut and paste, and send it to everyone. It's better to send 10 good messages to 10 people than 50 generic ones. Accept fewer meetings than you think, as I said. I always have the mentality like I'm going to have as few meetings as possible, and my calendar ends up full anyway. Make sure you also mark things in your calendar, in that meeting calendar, if you booked it outside the meeting system. So you go like, oh, I'm going to have lunch between 12 and 1. Then you put that in the calendar, so that slot will be blocked. Respect people's time. Consider who you're inviting, and make sure if you have invited someone that you also show up on the meeting. I think I'll talk more about that on another slide. Make sure you have it offline. The system online. When you are on an event, 2,000 people want to have 5G in the same area as you, it might be problems. So have it offline so you can easily see your schedule. Make sure your schedule also have the meeting spot. Not who you're meeting, but also where you're meeting them. And yeah, writing a very straight to the point invitation is the best. Don't like a one-page pitch in the meeting invitation or a link so the person needs to press a link to read something else to understand what you're doing. Few sentences just to say, this is what I'm doing, this is why I want to meet you, do you want to meet me? Okay, preparing to get there. It's always good to share the news that you're actually going for a place. Like, write on LinkedIn, hey, I'm going for this conference. I'm looking forward to meet old and new friends. That will give a ping to your current network that you will be there. And there might be people saying, good, I really want to meet this person. Clean up your LinkedIn, make sure it looks tidy. And in general, your social media. If you're going for an event for the first time in 2 years, if I'm going, I just realized that some of my social media still says I'm at Turborilla. I should maybe change that. That's what I mean with cleaning up. Make sure it's relevant for your situation at the moment. Pick a hotel that fits your goal. Save money or save time. Should you stay close to the conference or far away from the conference? Arrive early the first day. Because if it's the first time you are at the conference, you will not know exactly how things look like. You might have seen the blueprints of the conference and the layout, etc. But once you're there, it's going to be different. It's always good to have some extra time. Just get there in time, relax, and kind of feel confident in the room. Walk the venue and nearby. I usually do this the day before. If I arrive a day before the conference, I walk from a hotel to the venue. Okay, this is the path I take to the venue. How does it look around? Where's there some stores? Where's there some restaurant? Is there any cafe? Like, what kind of things do I have? Check the weather and pack for extremes. I always miss this one, but it's a good idea to check the weather and know what you should pack. And if it's possible, pick up your badge the day before. Most conferences have this badge system. And if there's 2,000 people going to attend the conference and you have your first meeting in 15 minutes and you're arriving at the conference and you don't have your badge, you're going to miss your first meeting for sure. Maybe your 2 or 3 first meetings. So don't rely on being able to pick up your badge 15 minutes before you have your first meeting. I've seen many people miss the first meetings because of this. And that's just sloppy. That's being ill prepared. And you don't want to be that individual. And talking about the hotels, depending on your purpose for the event, you could think about where you should stay. Of course, financials matters. But for example, I'm going to Nordic Game in 2 weeks. Then I'm staying at a hotel close to the venue because I like to be able to have a meeting, maybe be at my hotel and go back to the next meeting. In Köln, which in Cologne, in Gamescom in Germany, I stay further away from the event area. Because usually you go to an event, you're going to be there for a couple of hours, and then you're going to have meetings outside the venue. So then I thought it was more proper to have a hotel that's going to be closer to where like mixer's going to be, where the dinner's going to be, etc. And where potentially I eat breakfast. So I eat breakfast in the city, I go to the event, I go back to my hotel, I have dinners and events in the evening. So think about what's important. Where do you need to stay? Where's your home base? That's going to be your room. Does it need to be close to conference or close to something else? Packing tips. I think I'll just go this through pretty quick. Power bank, of course. Business cards, we're going to talk about those. Hoodie or layers. It's really good to be able to have several layers of clothing, so you can take them off if it gets too warm. San Francisco in March is when you're in the sun, you wanna have t-shirt. When you are in the shades, you wanna have your winter jacket. It could be similar inside an event as well. Like at one part of the event is so crowded, you'll be sweaty. You wanna be able to dress off a little bit. And some other part, it's really, really cold, and you're happy you brought your hoodie with you. Water bottle, I think it goes without. Really good to have some water with you as much as possible. Notebook and pen. It's much more convenient to be analog, notebook and pen, than bringing up your laptop all the time. Earbuds, I have tinnitus. I use them when I'm at a conference to save some of my ears. It's not a bad thing, especially, well, not in the meetings, of course, but in between meetings, when you're walking the floor, you're walking around in the expo, it can be very, very loud. Snacks. You don't know when you're going to eat the next time unless you really booked a slot. You can have like a slot. You say like, here, between 1 and 2, I'm going to eat. But then you run into someone that's really important for you. Or you're realizing that everyone else is eating at between 1 and 2, and there is no, like, the lines for the food is too long. So make sure you bring some snacks with you into the conference so you can have something to eat. Comfortable shoes, and not new shoes, your old comfortable shoes. You don't want to come there with new shoes and get blisters. Painkillers and band-aids, it's not a bad thing to have. Long days, too little water, you might get headache. It's good to have a painkiller just to endure the rest of the day. Mints and deodorants. It's for your friends, not for you. Since you'll be running around, you will be warm. Make sure you're a fresh person. Room in your bag, because you might find a lot of swag at the conference, and you want to bring it home to your friends, to your partners, to your kids, to yourself, etc. So when I'm packing before I'm leaving, I'm not filling my luggage. I'm making sure I have like half of it is just empty, so I can bring stuff home. And shoes. It's not a bad thing to actually bring one extra pair of shoes. So during the day you have one pair of shoes, and then in the evening, as I do, put on my high heels, and I have high heels in the evening, and then the next day I put on my comfortable shoes again. So you can alternate your shoes. It's a good thing for your feet, but also for your shoes to get some time to rest, because you will be in your shoes from 8 until 12 8 in the morning until 12 in the midnight. So, and another couple of good things is internet, especially if you're traveling abroad. There is a couple of services that like these eSIMs, where you can like buy 30 gigabyte of internet for a week for $10. It's usually very cheap. Melatonin, sleeping pills, that's also good, especially if you're traveling over time zones. Google Map offline. You might have problem with internet, but you need to get from point A to point B. Make sure you have it offline, so you can have. Small umbrella, this is one of the things I always miss. It's not a bad thing. The good thing with having an umbrella is that you will find new friends, especially when it rains. A second credit card. I actually had my primary credit card skimmed 2 times, so I had to cancel them during the trip. Luckily, I had another credit card, so I was good. But it happened to me twice, both in America, in San Francisco. Some small coins, bills, some currency where you're going. It's good to have. And the reusable tote bag. And they are usually very small. You can also have them in the back pocket. But it's good to have. Maybe you're finding swag at the conference, you want to bring them back to your room. You want to go out shopping, you buy some water for your room, etc. It's always good to have one of those bags. And skip your heavy laptop. No one gonna play your demo at the event. I don't know how many times I brought a device because I'm supposed to show the game. I thought in my head like, oh, I have meetings, I'm gonna show the game. No one's there to play the game. You talk with them, you pitch your game, you send a demo for your game after the conference. So carrying around like a heavy laptop is just waste of time, and it takes a lot of energy from you. So skip that one. Business card versus no business card. This is a few years ago when everyone used business cards. This was when I came back from one of my trips, the amount of business cards I got. There's some good things with business cards. Especially one of the things I really like is when you get the business card, and if it has a pretty good surface somewhere, you can actually write notes. This one, we had coffee, send pitch. I was supposed to send a pitch. It was for PC and console and Asia. Good. So I put notes on the business card to know, because if you're going to meet this many people, you're not going to remember them. So putting notes on your business card is a good thing. But the thing is, most people are not using business cards anymore. Most people are using LinkedIn. And you really should make sure you have a proper LinkedIn profile. And one of the things with LinkedIn is you have a barcode to easily connect. And then you take a screenshot of your code and put it in the back of your phone. So it's very accessible. If someone says, hey, what's your LinkedIn? Yeah, you can scan my code. And you connect. I'm more of a LinkedIn person than a business card person. I don't have any business cards now. I don't know if I'm going to get them. But I'm not saying they are bad, but people are not using them as much as they used to. What's time?
9:45.
Okay, cool. So, at the conference, a couple of practical things to think about. I know you already know these things, but it's always good to get a reminder about them. And of course, be prepared. I've had a lot of meetings where people come into the meeting and they are not prepared to meet me. So one of the things you need to be prepared for is that they don't really know who you are. So the first 2 minutes is all about establishing who you are and why you are meeting. And then the next step will be talking about what you're supposed to talk about. Meetings are usually 30 minutes long. People will be late. So the meeting starts 5 minutes after the time it's supposed to be. Then you have a few meetings say, hi, who are you? Why are we really here? Then it's 20 more minutes left. Then you can actually start your presentation, your pitch, and talk about what it's supposed to be. But you will not have 20 minutes to do that. You will have 10 minutes to do that. Then it's going to be some questions about it. And then everyone want to hopefully leave a little bit early because they want to get in time to the next meeting. So it will start 5 past, and it will end 5 minutes earlier than it's supposed to. So the real meeting is 20 minutes. Be prepared. Be curious, but not pushy. Of course, you're going to ask people what they're doing, and this is general networking. But if you see someone is not really open and want to talk about it, don't push it. Ask real questions, not like, so how are you doing? Okay, how's the kids? Cool, bye, see you. It's better to ask more interesting questions, like why are you here? What are you looking for? What's your big challenge? What's your biggest success? What was the most fun thing you did at the last project you worked on? Listen more than you speak. Usually game developers are introverts, so that's not an issue. You're going to find the extrovert people. They will speak a lot, like me. Don't pitch too soon. Don't start saying, hey, I'm Mattias. I'm doing this. Are you an investor? You want to give me some money? Build trust first. If you start talking with someone, you build some trust, you understand each other, that's when you can say, so actually I'm looking for funding for my thing. I'm looking for this. People are kind of, not everyone of course, but people are a bit reserved initially. Even if you are looking for games, you will be a little bit reserved until you know them, and then you'll be more open-minded. Read the room, hang out in the coffee lines, lunches, quiet spots. This is great places to hang around and just to casually meet people, the random encounters. Try to see where other people are going. In San Francisco, there is a park above the whole venue. A lot of people hang out there. That's where you should go. Sit up front if you want to meet speakers. So if you want to talk with a speaker after the speech, don't be in the back. Be in the front line. The talk is over, you just walk up to him or her. Usually, as I said, in lines, when you're in line to something, in coffee lines, about, so hey, what you doing? You just turn around and ask the guy behind you, what's your goal here for this conference? And don't cut into others' meetings. I've seen this so many times, and I get annoyed when it happens to me, and I really try to avoid it. I'm having a meeting, pitching for a publisher, and then the publisher's best friend walks by behind and hugs the publisher, talk about, and he steals 3 minutes from my meeting. Don't be that guy that are taking the time from someone else's meeting. Skip talking about politics, religion, or other loaded topics. Even if even if you want to, don't. Because nothing good comes out of starting a relationship with an argument. Sometimes it might be, but it's not worth the risk being in an argument with the investor that could potentially be the one that gives you the money you need for your project. Not all jokes land well. Sarcasm can be very difficult, especially if it's different cultures. And you will meet a lot of different cultures when you are at an event. So be careful with how you joke with others. I was in India meeting a couple of indie devs, and you take caste system, like this caste system. It doesn't exist officially anymore in India. And the indie developers I was talking with, one of the guys, he was from the highest caste. He was like a good guy. And he was making jokes on the other guys all the time because they were not from the highest caste system. And I was also making one of, like, jumping in and making a joke. And then a few minutes later, the guy from the highest caste was like, so Mattias, yes, you know, you can't do that. I couldn't make those jokes because I was not from India, I wasn't from that caste, etc. Even though I was a white male from Western. And he understood I didn't understand it. But I was making a big mistake by just jumping in and playing around with something, but the culture collided. So try to be careful with that one. Yeah, be nice. Take a shower in the morning. Take a shower before you go for dinner. Give people space and focus. If you're talking with someone, even if they seem like the best fit for you, don't kind of tag along for the whole day. Like, you have 20 minutes, 25 minutes with this individual. Then this person needs to attend other meetings, other things, etc. Respect that. And don't pitch in the bathroom. Like, you will not believe the situations I've seen and heard about in the bathroom. So don't do that. There's a lot of better spaces to do that. Hang out in the evenings. You don't need to attend everything. If you're not feeling well, just go home. Be social, but not performative. This comes back to introvert, extrovert, and it's also about reading the room a little bit. If you are extrovert, you tend to take a lot of space. Take a look around and see, are you performing now? Are you kind of in the middle of the stage and taking everything? Is it time to maybe give some room for someone else? Don't look past people for better options. I've seen this happening. People come up to you, and you can see how they're actually not looking at you. They're looking like behind you, and like, yeah, okay, I need to go by. Don't be that person either. Give focus to the individual you're talking with. Don't get drunk. Stay sharp, stay kind. There were a publisher having a talk about things you shouldn't do at the conference. And this publisher tells a story about how they were out in the evening, and there was a team there, a games team, that were crazy. They were drinking they were drinking the bar dry. They were like standing on the tables, like having the most crazy party ever. The game developers, not the publisher. The next morning, 9 o'clock, it turns out that those game developers was pitching for this publisher. They didn't know it in the evening. So the CEO of this company, he was so hangover, or probably still drunk, he was just sitting, looking down in the floor for 30 minutes. And then another guy in the team, he was doing the pitch. So don't do that. And of course, Be the person people want to talk to again tomorrow. This is a tip I have for you guys. It's called the LinkedIn Challenge. And you walk up to someone. Hey, who are you? What you doing? So I wonder how many LinkedIn connections we have together. I guess it's 25. How many do you think? And then you say 18. Okay, let's see. And the ones that's closest, wins fika, lunch or something. And this is kind of a great way to start the conversation. You get connected. And after you like, looks like I owe you fika, looks like you owe me fika. So it's a good way to kind of start a connection. And lose on purpose. So we have a reason to reconnect and say, you know, you won. You were much closer to the LinkedIn connection saying, I owe you coffee. What about Thursday at 9? After the conference, stay in the loop. Of course, it's good to give a quick, nice to meet you. But also say, nice to meet you. When things is more calm, I will reach out to you again. Be short and personal. Like, yeah, hey, I enjoyed our chat at the Swedish booth. I'll reach out in 2 weeks, then I will give you I'll send the pitch for the pitch document as I promised or something like that. Keep the network alive. Organize your contacts. This is something I'm really bad at. There is tools for this. Notion is one tool that I'm starting looking into. I'm looking at you, Andreas. I think you know some tools better than I do. But having a tool to have for this isn't a bad thing. Stay lightly present. And what I mean with this is connect with them on LinkedIn or other business-related networks. And if they write something, you can write, oh, nice. Well, yeah, well done. Give a like or something. But don't find people on the private channels. For example, Facebook is private, LinkedIn is business. You don't add unknown people on Facebook and start sharing them on their birthday, etc., and giving thumbs up on the kids' photos, etc. So some light cyber stalking. Know where they are, but don't stalk them on private channels. That happened to me. I don't like it. I'm going to be like very open to students if there's students in here. I really don't like students reaching out to me on Facebook and then asking for a job. Then you're really way, way off, to be honest. So don't do that. And don't vanish until your next ask. And it kind of tied into this one. So don't talk with someone, they said no, and then 4 years later, like, oh, here's my new pitch. Do you have any money? That's not building relationship. And not everyone follow-up leads. And not all leads lead to something. And that's fine. Don't take it personal in any way. And most people don't follow up. So if you do a follow-up, you're still way ahead of most other people. I think I have so many things I want to talk about, but I'm going to be quicker. Use AI to remember your conversations. When you've been at the conference, you're having half an hour at your room, you take a quick shower, you're resting, you're charging your phone, then you talk with your AI and say, I had this meeting with this publisher, and we spoke about this and that, and then you ask the AI to transcribe it into 5 bullet points. That's super efficient. And you can, in 20 minutes, talk about all the meetings you had in a day, and you get notes from it, instead of writing it yourself. Walk and talk during the meetings. Usually it's very crowded inside the venues, and it's loud. If possible, I try to bring the individuals I'm having a meeting with outside and walk and talk. That doesn't really work if you need to present something. But if it's more of a talkative meeting where you're mostly going to talk, you can do it. Stay humble, stay curious. That's what people remember. I remember a couple of yerks as well. You do that. But usually it's the humble people that you remember. Be the lifesaver with your power bank. Bring a power bank, have it fully charged. Bring a cord for your own phone. Bring a cord that works for someone else's phone, which means that you can lend out the power bank. Try to have a lot of energy. Find small spaces where you can kind of recharge. Eat some snacks. Oh, this one. Swedes might, as I did for some time, I thought hookup and catch-up was sort of similar things. So, and I'm looking at an English native here, like, it's not. So, I wanted to change my language a little bit a couple of years ago. So I was like, I see you going for this conference, let's hook up. That's not what you should do. So I'm just trying to share my knowledge that you say catch up if you want to have a business meeting. Hook up you say for something else. And so I've learned that lesson. As I said, not everything leads to business, and that's fine. You might find some friends instead. Cancel meetings is bonus free time. Don't take that either personal. A lot of things can happen. So see it. You get another 30 minutes to prepare for something, some your own time, listen to some music, etc. And you don't need to impress everyone. You will have bad meetings, and that's also okay. And a personal dinner with friends is much more valuable than a lot of free drinks at a large party where you can't talk with anyone. Yeah, last slide. This is pictures of things. If you're going abroad, you need a converter. Bring, I don't know what you call those, like an extension. So you have more than one. You know that usually you can charge your power bank, and also from the power bank you can charge your phone. So in the nights you can charge your power bank and your phone at the same time. If you for some reason have a room where the power doesn't work when you're leaving the room and you might need to charge something, you don't need your card. There's a lot of other things that fits in the holder. Your credit card fits, but don't use that one. Someone else's business card works. When you're traveling, if you're afraid to lose your luggage, take a picture. Because when you lose the luggage, there's going to be a formula where you're supposed to describe how your luggage looks like. If you have a picture of your luggage, it's easy to see, this is how my bag looked like. I got a new bag a week ago, so it's really important for me to take a photo when I'm traveling next time. And since I'm getting old, it's really good to remember what room are you living in. And I think I have a collection of about 200 hotel rooms. So it's easy to not remember the room number anymore. Okay, thank you. So I'll start to see if you read if there's any questions online. Any questions in here?
Too many.
Yeah. We have one question over there. Two. Okay, we start the standing guy.
Yeah, so how would I know that it's time for me to go to this kind of like business-oriented games conference? And also, would that be different if I'm like an established studio and an indie developer or like a hobbyist?
Okay, so the question, I'm repeating it for the online people. So the question is, how do I know when it's time for me to go for an event? And is it different if I'm an indie studio or established studio? Was it something else? Was it a third thing? Or hobbyist. Okay. So I will start with, it doesn't matter what kind of studio you are, because it's all about what's the goal for going for the conference. And different studios have different goals. And it's when you know, well, you might not know, but when you're realizing that the team here at a working lab, for example, where we are today, you need something that you can't find here. That's when it's time for you to go somewhere else. Which is, it's pretty soon, to be honest. A lot of indie teams, hobbyists, they try to be super introvert. They work with these things for several years and realized after 4 years, they don't have any money, that 3 years ago, they couldn't get help with the things they've been struggling for the last 3 years. So I would say, you should try to find a way to attend conference as soon as possible, no matter if you're hobby, indie, established game studios. And there are different ways to do that. I know, for example, Arctic Game, they are able to have you, help you to get some funds or a ticket to go for some conferences. So that's a good way to do that. Maybe, did I answer it, was that a good answer? I mixed it. I mixed the question in 2 answers. So,
as you need something that you can't find in your local.
Exactly. So, and I would also say, talking with some senior individuals that can help you kind of look at your game and see if you need something. Because if you're just sitting down home, you and your team sitting home, and doesn't show anything to anyone, no one's going to give you input of what you are missing. So maybe that's another tip, is that don't be introvert with your game. Share what you're doing, talk with a lot of people about what you're doing, because then you will start getting feedback. And then you will start knowing when you need something that you don't have today.
We have a question from Therese Olofsson from Tricky Whispers. What would be a good workaround for people that doesn't have the possibility to go to conferences?
Some of the conferences actually have online. Should I repeat the question? No, they can read it. Oh. So some of the conferences have an online part, which is also streaming talks, streaming pitches, etc. But usually the meeting system can also work online. Most individuals that go for a conference, they want to meet on site. But the meeting system usually are open even for remote people. So you could tag along in the meeting system, and then just write in the notes that you're going to be online. And my suggestion would be, don't take a spot on the conference week. Say okay, so I can't be on site this conference. I see you here in the system. Send an invitation to them and say, let's catch up after the conference, and then you share your contact details.
Yeah, I think also attending conferences is super important. I would say that 80% of the value that I get from attending a conference is not in the meetings. It's the organic meetings that happens in the evening, in the morning, or if I bump into Mattias and Andreas, you should meet Michael. I just met him this morning. I think you can connect. You have something in common. And that's where 80% of the value comes from. And you can't do that online. So if you're not able to attend a conference, you're missing out on a lot of value. And Arctic Game, if you have a company here in Norra eller Västerbotten, Arctic Game can help with travel and conference funding if you have a business case for it. If you're outside of this region, there's probably a support structure that can help you as well, like an incubator or accelerator in your area. But I think attending a conference, especially when it's in Sweden, like Sweden Game Conference is great in Skövde, but for different matters, if you want to do business, it's Nordic Game in Malmö. And also, I arrange a conference in Umeå now every January. I had 21 publishers and investors in Umeå this January. So it makes a lot of sense to go to the ones in Sweden. It's cheaper and it's easier. Attending GDC, it's easy 40,000. Gamescom, similar, depending on the hotel. And also I want to add to what you said. I used to book cheaper hotels. Now I'm sort of changing. I like it simple. I don't want to waste money on expensive hotels. But When I picked a cheaper hotel, I spent 800 SEK in Uber every day instead. So if you take all the other expenses allocated with a cheaper hotel, it's actually cheaper to have a more expensive hotel closer to the venue. So there's a lot of factors you need to calculate with that.
Yeah, thank you. Any more questions in here or online?
No.
Kalle?
Okay, I guess first some extra pointers from me that I thought about. The first few pitches you make are gonna be like so-so, even if you practiced. So don't have your best, most important pitch first. Have a couple of like warm-up pitches. I would say after 3 or 4 pitches, you kind of gotten the hang of it.
Yeah, that's a great advice. So what Kalle said is that don't start with your most important pitch. Have a couple of pitches for like pitch meetings to get the warm-up. So it's a great advice.
Yeah. Also consider alternative meeting locations. Sometimes it's super crowded at the meet and match places. Like, oh, I've got a great spot in the park just 50 meters away. Let's go there and talk instead or something like that. Perhaps also if you have a t-shirt with a logo, it's really good. So people recognize you and your colleagues. You said don't have a heavy laptop. Perhaps a tablet is enough. Have the presentation offline ready. Mattias also mentioned it. Take notes after the meetings. If you had 40 meetings and after the conference you start to write the notes about all those meetings, you're not going to remember them. Make sure you know what to follow up, etc. But I also have a question for you.
Okay.
Which conferences do you think are the most important ones to attend, or which, is it the biggest ones, or depends
Okay.
on your
So
genres?
which conferences are the most important ones? If you depends on budget to start with, and your goal. If you're looking for fundings, I think Gamescom and Nordic Game is 2 conferences that's really good. Gamescom are in Germany and Nordic Game are in Malmö. They are good conferences. A lot of Gamescom, all the business developers, all the investors, all the publishers goes for Gamescom. Most of them goes for GDC as well. But if you want to have a cheaper option, Nordic Game in Malmö is good as well. Because Nordic Game in Malmö is a little bit smaller, a little bit less people, but it's cheaper to travel there, it's cheaper to stay there, etc. Then there is, like you mentioned, Andreas, the Skövde has a conference. I've been there a few times. It's a small one. Here in Umeå, we had a couple of years with some really good conferences where we've been having publishers and investors coming to Umeå, and that's really good. There is a bunch of smaller conferences out in the world, so I would say if you can scout ahead, like if you look online, you're going to find a conference every week. There is like game conference schedules with all the conferences. And then you need to figure out like, what's the focus on this conference? Is the focus on the conference a fit for me? There's one conference that's in several different cities over the year that's called Pocket Gamer. Their focus are mobile. If you're doing a PC game, Pocket Gamer is definitely not for you. If you're doing a mobile game, Pocket Gamer, it is for you. So you need to kind of figure that out. But Nordic Game is good, Gamescom, GDC. The local one we have here in Umeå is really, really good. If you're doing mobile, considering the Pocket Gamer. So. I had more. Okay, over there.
Yeah, so one important thing is to have a really, really good pitch. You need to have the material be really spot on. So we have historically you helped us out with this, Mattias. So this is basically a question for you, Andreas, as well. So if I'm working on a pitch, I want to have the sharpest pitch deck that I can have on the meetings. What help can we get from Arctic Game, or is there some collaboration maybe coming up where if I want help to really have a sharp pitch deck, where do I go?
We can definitely help with that. I have a pitch workshop ready. However, I would like people to reach out, because sometimes I create events that I know create value, but not enough people sign up or show up. So if you want a pitch training session, I will invite publishers. We can have our first stage with Mattias and I and others in Umeå, and then I can invite Raw Fury, Humble, and others to help out. So,
Just, sorry, for the online people. So the question was, started with, it's super important to have a great pitch. Like going for an event and your pitch sucks, it's going to kind of lower the whole success rate of the event. So Per's question for us was, how can you create a good pitch? And that's where you said that you can reach out to Andreas, for example, or someone in Arctic Game to start the conversation, and then we can see in which way Arctic Game can help.
Yeah, and I personally made a lot of game pitches and funding pitches that received funding, and I know pretty well what it should contain and what it should not contain. But I would like to add one thing that is super important. When you reach out to publishers and investors at conferences, make sure you target the right ones. Like if you reach out to Codemasters, I have this fantasy game, they're not going to take the meeting. It's not relevant for them. It's like if you're making a roguelite, you're making a platform, you're making a strategy game, find a top 10 list. These are the publishers that publish similar games. This might be relevant for them. Otherwise, you waste your time and their time. Make your pitch relevant to the person you're pitching. And investors, you shouldn't talk to an investor that invests typically 200,000 to 300,000 euros when you're looking for 10 million, for instance. Like find the right fit for the ask. So it's relevant. That's also super, super important. And when I worked for a publisher, we had that mismatch we had 30 pitches coming in every single week. And I would say 15, 20 of those were totally not aligned with the publisher's goals.
And this is the good thing with the meeting systems. Most companies, they set up the correct information. So you will be able to see this publisher is looking for deals or doing games between $100,000 and $500,000. Okay, then you know that your budget is a fit or not a fit. So that's one of the good things with these meeting systems, that you will get a lot of information about the companies in the systems. So.
Do we have time for me to just add one little thing?
I have time. I don't know
Sure.
what's up for the others.
Hi, I'm Philip. I'm a manager here at Working Lab. Amazing, Mattias. Thank you so much. Hello. One thing Mattias talked about, I'm not going to talk about with the gaming side of things, but one thing he talked about which just jumped out at me was preparation. Be prepared. When we had the conference earlier this year, I sat in a quiet area and watched and observed. And I see so many people, some of you as well, a lot of people are late. No matter how you prepare, what happens, life can happen and you will be late for a meeting. I guarantee at some stage you're going to be late for a meeting. And this is where being prepared, and I hope I can help a little bit with it. If you are late for a meeting, the first thing to do is always try and let the person that you're going to meet know that you're going to be late. That is professional. I always want to know that. I don't want to be sitting here 10, 15, 20 minutes. After that, I will just go. I won't be here anymore. So it don't matter if you're half an hour late. I won't be here anymore. Let me know, or let people know you're going to be late. And I can give you an example of how I want to help. A few weeks ago, I had a meeting with somebody who was sort of reinventing themselves back in Umeå again. They had been here for a long time, and their organization dropped off, and it was quite well known that they were maybe not acting so professional as they should be. Then they went away and came back, and the pitch back to me on email was, "No, we're a super professional group, we're absolutely amazing, we want to be back, we want to work with you." And I sat there and read that and thought, oh, that's good, welcome. And I'm sitting here preparing for that meeting with them. They were 35 minutes late, and when they did come through the door, they had not taken time to prepare themselves. They just came through the door completely flustered, stressed. They looked stressed. The whole body language was stressed. And that single moment by itself sort of told me that, yeah, you haven't changed. Not much have changed from what it was previously. And my recommendation to everyone who's late for a meeting, and it's really important, is if you are late, you let the person know that you're going to be late. And before you go into the meeting with them, do not go in this flustered, stressed manner. Take 30 seconds just outside or go to the bathroom, put water on the face, breathe, get the mindset totally in, okay, I am late, but this is where we're going now, and it's a step forward, instead of going in this bad body language and like, I'm really, really sorry, I'm really, really late, and everything like that. That's not going to help you.
Thank you, Phil. Anyone else have a question before we call? Oh, okay.
If you have an idea, but you're afraid of taking a risk, like how do you go from the idea to reality?
So where's the thing? Are you what are you afraid of? Of spending time on it, money on it, or sharing it with others?
I don't know. It was just a general question.
Okay.
Like if you are comfortable with what you're doing right now and you don't.
Yeah, you want to jump ship from one. You're doing one thing now. You feel good with that, and maybe want to do something else. My advice would be reach out to others who are doing that at the moment. So the most common thing is, since we're doing games, is someone working at the company today, but they would like to start their own company. Talk with others who's doing that. Talk with others who's running their own company. Ask them how they did to start it. Try to find individuals that had a similar situations, that also been afraid of, because they had something and they wanted to do this, and get their advice. That's my advice, to find someone that's been doing exactly this thing. And again, if it is that you want to start a games company, I would reach out to Arctic Game as well, because there is a lot of more things Arctic Game can do that, well, of course you speak open about it, but in the more one-to-one meetings, you can get more specific advice and help from the Arctic Game team. So if it's something, if you want to do games and are afraid of doing that, you should speak with Arctic Game people. That's my advice.
And we're sort of over time. I just want to wrap up with one thing. It's not easy to get signed by a publisher, not by any means. At my conference in January, we had some statistics, and Eve from Focus Entertainment shared the sad truth that in 1,000 pitches, they signed 0.92. So there's less than 1 in 1,000 chance to get signed. However, when you pitch to Eve for the first time and they might not be interested in the game, then you're not a cold contact anymore. You probably increased your chances to be able to pitch a game successfully to them by 20–30%. So the next time you're not a cold pitch. So it's important to pitch and to fail. You will learn, you get feedback, and you will establish your first contact. Build relations, keep them updated. So it's, even if you don't get funding, it's still a success in some way. And I think that's super important. But a huge applause for Mattias, who shared his knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone that attended this pitch live or by stream.
And I will be hanging around drinking some coffee if someone want to talk some more with me. So I'll be here for another half an hour. Okay. Thank you for today.